final job adoption in June. We know that redirecting the $30.5 million previously sent from Oakland County back to the city to directly manage shelter services and move residents into permanent housing is going to be key. Maintaining essential services like public parks and community centers, though some operating hours may see a little bit of a reduction. We're going to continue to invest in affordable housing initiatives despite our fiscal constraints. The budget prioritizes resources for workforce training, small business lending, and commercial acquisition. Funding for activations designed to increase foot traffic and bolster tourism in the central city area. Now, if we streamline the regulatory processes to encourage development as local multifamily permitting has lagged, we may see some additional resources in future years. Leveraging the Portland Clean Energy Community Benefits Fund to invest roughly $150 million annually in green initiatives is so important and critical. And funding for home energy retrofits and robust electric bike and rebate programs with a focus on income qualified households. I'll just wrap up and say ongoing collaboration with community groups to shape the final amended budgets before the June vote is key to have meetings like today. This budget is painful and it requires cutting 203 positions citywide, I believe. Acknowledging that this is a temporary fix for a long-term revenue shortfall, we need to be united in how we spend our precious resources in the general fund and our restricted funds to make sure that our most vulnerable of residents are protected and they are treated with the dignity and respect that everyone else is in this city. Thank you.
And thank you, Councilor Smith. Good morning, friends. Thank you guys so much for being here on a Saturday morning when you could be doing literally anything else. This is really important. I'm really glad you're here. I don't want to belabor it. I don't want to talk too long, but there are no good choices before us. We are going to simply be doing less. And I need your help in identifying what it is that needs to be preserved that serves our side of the town. There are some choices in this budget that I hate. I'm going to be honest. I don't love the fact that we are reducing, for example, reducing a fire apparatus at one of the stations. But it is worth noting that even if that cut were taken, response times around that station are still faster than they are out in our neighborhood here. We on the east side have less. And so when we take a proportional cut, we end up with even less. So I need to hear from you all. What are the things that we absolutely cannot live without here east of I-205? What are the things that if we saw those things go away, our quality of life would degrade quickly? What are the things that we have fought so hard for that we cannot afford to take steps backwards? So I'm looking forward to hearing what each of you are prioritizing. I'm going to shut up because this is about you. Help us understand where these cuts can be taken. And I'm going to tell you that my bottom line right now is to hold East Portland as harmless as possible. So help me and Councilor Smith identify where those places might be. And thank you guys again for being here this morning.
Had a back and forth conversation, and we are going to be making space for people who live in district first, and then we'll hear other testimony from other folks. You can see there's a queue projected up here, and staff are in the process of filling that out so you can see where you're coming in the speaking order. So we have about an hour and 40-ish minutes for testimony, and we'll limit each comment to 2 minutes. Please do your best to stick to that time, and so that we can hear from as many people as possible. I believe a timer will be up on the screen momentarily. And you don't see our tech person, so I will just be keeping time myself and let you know when that 2 minutes has been reached. When testifying, please say your name for the record. Your address is not necessary. Please declare if you're a lobbyist or if you're representing an organization, please identify it. Disruptive conduct such as shouting, refusing to conclude your testimony when your time is up, or interrupting others' testimony will not be allowed. If there are disruptions, a warning will be given that further disruption may result in the person being muted or asked to leave. Please know that this meeting is recorded. And thank you for helping your fellow Portlanders feel welcome, comfortable, respected, and safe. If you have questions or you prefer to not testify today, or you prefer to provide written testimony, please, you can do that by scanning the QR code that was in the brochure that's available out in the lobby. That'll take you to the city's budget page, and there's a testimony form. You can put in written testimony there around the budget, or you can ask budget questions in that space as well, and the budget office will be able to respond to those questions. Today is an opportunity for you all to share feedback and for the city to listen. So with that, we'll go ahead and call the first 6 people. And we have 3 spots up here at the table, and then there are 3 chairs on the side here. If you want to queue up there, you're welcome to. So Rachel Brown, Saif Sultani, Asanula Sadeji, Tom Rooks, Jed Angley, and Deanne Salazar, and whatever order you come up is fine. We have plenty of time. So just for awareness, that the chat, I believe the chat that's happening up here is not really a chat of meeting participants. It's a recording of the meeting transcript. So I know that it's small. I don't know what we can do about that, but all of that will be available after the meeting. So it's not sharing any information I don't believe that you need for today. And with that, we will go ahead and begin your testimony.
Thank you. Thank you, Council President Dunphy, Councilor Smith, and City Administrator Lee for the chance to speak today. My name is Rachel Brown. I'm a proud resident of District 1, and I'm also representing Work Systems, the nonprofit workforce development board serving our city. East Portland is special. It's a place, I lost my place. Sorry. It's a place where community thrives, where people look out for each other, and where I always send folks looking for authentic, culturally specific food. At the budget open house a few weeks ago, I was speaking with Council President Dunphy, and he said something along the lines of the only kind of diversity we don't have in this region is financial. So how do we change that? Living wage jobs is a start. How do we break down barriers so people can access those jobs? Workforce development programs. The proposed budget cuts workforce programs for adults and youth who serve low-income residents, immigrants and refugees, and people on the homelessness continuum of care. Employment is often the turning point that helps someone stabilize their life and stay housed, and without these programs, there's no real path to self-sufficiency. The program facing the biggest cut from the city is Summer Works, which Councilor Smith helped bring to life. It provides paid work experiences in local businesses for youth, and I've seen firsthand how these experiences can change a young person's trajectory. Last year, I had the honor of hosting a Summer Works intern to help tell participant stories from across the city. Jacoby shared his work experience at Project Lido helped him overcome deep depression and hopelessness about employment. And James, who has been living on the streets, shared that being valued at work gave him the confidence to keep moving forward. Sean, the intern I worked with, said, "Not only am I the creative director on a real project, but I'm surrounded by people who want me to succeed." Summer Works was the chance they all needed to start their career path. As a District 1 resident, I'm asking you to restore and safeguard adult and youth workforce investments, including Summer Works, so people in our neighborhoods can build skills, support their families, and stay rooted in the community we love. Thank you for your time today.
سلام صبح ما بخیر. اسم سیاف از دنوی اول پورتلند زندگی میکنم.
Hey, good morning. My name is Sayaf. I live in the district number 1.
قبل از اینکه با برنامه خدمات کاریابی سازمان DMA آشنا شوم، برای پیدا کردن شغل پایدار با مشکلات مواجه بودم و مسیر روشنی نداشتم.
Before connecting with DMA, I was facing troubles and problems regarding my future.
وقتی همکاری را با سازمان DMA شروع کردم، همه چیز کم کم تغییر کرد. من حمایت فردی مستقیم دریافت کردم.
When I was connected with Division Midway Alliance, I started receiving services, one-on-one services.
کارم را به عنوان راننده مدرسه آغاز کردم. در همین حین آنها قدم به قدم من را راهنمایی کردند، فقط برای پیدا کردن شغل نه، بلکه برای ساختن چیزی متعلق به خودم.
I started my employment as a school driver, and they assisted me to find this employment. And meanwhile, they assisted me to build my future and to be stable more.
من امروز صاحب شرکت حمل و نقل LLC خودم هستم. این چیزی بود که قبلا هرگز فکر آن را نمی‌کردم.
Now I have my own LLC company in transportation, which I never thought that I will be like in someday I have such a company.
حالا می توانم با اطمینان از خانواده‌ام حمایت کنم و آینده بسازم که در کنترل خودم است.
Now I'm sure and confirm of my future for myself, for my family.
و من فرد خودکفا و از نظر مالی مستقل تبدیل شدم به شکلی که قبلا حتی تصورش را هم نمی‌کردم.
So for now, I feel myself more self-sufficient, which never I thought I found myself, and that is because of the MA services.
می توانم بگویم که بدون DMA امروز در این جایگاه نبودم. برنامه‌های مانند خدمات کاریابی و توانمندسازی اقتصاد فقط مفید نیستند، بلکه زندگی را تغییر می‌دهند.
Without these services, I wasn't able to find myself in such situation. Without services like workforce development, economic development programs, achieving these goals were impossible.
سازمان‌های مانند DMA برای جوامع مثل جامعه ما ضروری هستند. لطفاً این برنامه‌ها را حذف نکنید، چون افراد زیادی مانند من هستند که فقط به حمایت مناسب برای ما موفق شدن نیاز دارند.
Organizations such Division Midway Alliance are crucial to our community. People like me, community members who are in need of such services, they need these kind of organizations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, members of City Council and participants. My name is Sanullah. I'm resident of District 1. And also, I'm workforce navigator at Division Media Alliance. As we just heard from Sayaf, his story is only some of the many examples of perseverances and success within our community. It reflects what Division Media Alliance is truly about. Our work goes beyond simply placing clients in job. We focus on building confidence and creating welcoming spaces for individuals who might otherwise have no access to critical information and services. I'd like to share another story of a community member who had applied multiple times to Amazon fulfillment centers, but was unsuccessful due to challenges navigating the application and the hiring process. After connecting with the Division Media Alliance Workforce Navigator Services, Sadakat was received individualized support from completing application correctly to understand each step of hiring processes. Through personalized guidance, skills training, and consistent encouragement, he gained the confidence he needed and was successfully hired. Over the past 10 months alone, we have enrolled 103 clients in the program, with 35 successfully placed in jobs. In total, we have delivered 395 individualized support sessions, helping participants access the guidance they need at every stage of their journey. This is the differences the Division Media Alliance is making every day. Without continued funding, many individuals who depend on these services would face barrier to securing employment and providing for themselves and their families. Division Midway Alliance currently provides in 14 languages services in 14 languages to ensure that community members can fully understand and navigate these systems. I strongly urge you to continue supporting the Workforce Navigator program as it addresses a vital need in our community, which means stability. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Tom Rux. I am speaking on behalf of myself. I live in District 1. This is my first time speaking at an event like this. And my comments are going to be brief and high level. First of all, I appreciate the comments from the counselors and from the administrator. So now I try and think of this budget in a larger time frame, say 2024 to 2029. On the priorities, I would say first, fire and safety. We just had a reminder of that. But that doesn't mean that there won't be some cost cutting there as well. Number two, police and safety. And I think the chief of police would also say that safety is more than just the police. Three, the Parks Department and related works. We've heard this over the past year or two, just how vital that is to our residents. And just as an example, we love our parks, but where I live, we don't really have a local park. So we have to go to other neighborhoods to enjoy that. And then you have everything else, which is also significant, also vital. So my hope is that next year, depending on what we see in circumstances and forecasts, that we will be able to have a maybe happier discussion on where to do our investments for better outcomes for the community. But one thing I would like to ask to consider is there a counselor on the city council that is considering the level of fees and taxes and that impact on the residents of Portland? I think that might be a bigger issue for some of those folks out in East Portland and others. And I also just want to thank again that we are meeting in East Portland in District 1. This probably would have not happened in years past. Thank you all.
Yeah, my name is Jed Arkley. I'm a coordinator, event producer with Portland Parks and Recreation Summer Free For All program. I'm also on the executive board of the City of Portland Professional Workers Union, CPPW. This testimony, however, is on behalf of myself as a District 1 resident. Shout out to Palhurst Gilbert, the Daily Planet. All right, at Summer Free For All, I partnered with a broad range of community organizations to help produce 40 to 50 free community-driven movies and concerts in neighborhood parks. District 1, I work directly with community groups in the Centennial, Mill Park, Palhurst Gilbert, and Argate Terrace neighborhoods, just to name a few. So Summer Free For All, our events, they bring connection, safety, and joy to District 1, and the program is growing. Last year, we had our highest average attendance per event on record. We had 829 people per event, and our overall attendance exceeded projections by 32%. We served 32,000 Portlanders last year. Community gatherings like ours are desperately needed these days, and the data bears that out. However, the mayor's proposal is offering a very sneaky cut to this important program, and I'd like the councilors to look at this a little bit closer. You'll see that the mayor is proposing to slash the hours of the two key event producer positions by almost 600 hours, while simultaneously claiming this will have no service impact. I've been in this position for about 10 years, and I can guarantee you this will have a service impact indirectly in District 1, where we're always trying to get as many of our events as possible. Second, the mayor is also claiming that by cutting these 600 hours, and this is maybe a more inside baseball one, this is a 0.0 FTE impact in the budget. These are full-time salaried positions. His proposed cuts would slash each position's salary by between $12,000 and $15,000. So I bring this up because this is a troubling precedent that the mayor is establishing. The mayor is trying to unilaterally redefine full-time work for city staff, claim this type of reduction as a 0.0 FTE, and expect the same degree of service delivery. If this goes through, I would expect that you guys will see this in years to come. And to wrap up, and I apologize for CA Lee being here, at the same time, the city administrator's office is asking for $2.1 million in additional funding for management positions. So trading a popular program that fosters joy, belonging, and community for more levels of bureaucratic bloat will not serve District 1. Please remove all the cuts to the Summer Free For All program from this budget so we can continue to serve East Portland. So much.
Yes, greetings, city councilors, and it's good to see you all and and the city administrator. So I, as someone who has been, of course, involved in District 1, have a few concerns that I want to raise, some of which I've raised already at city council this past week. One is, of course, the fact that we are going to be seeing a cut, to at least proposed cut to the PS3 program, and it is not proposing a clear integrated alternative. And I believe that that will create a vacuum that puts those responsibilities back onto police, which is not really going to cause much quality outcomes for anyone. So that's one concern. Another concern is the fact that the home forward situation, I believe, represents a clear pattern with lack of accountability. And if these resources are actually being used to help the communities that they are meant to, that is something that I've been frustrated to see time and time again. So I think we need better stewardship there. Another concern is regarding the budget. I am curious if about the budget process and how they come up with some of the financial numbers, and I'm curious if zero-based budgeting could potentially impact that in a positive manner, or some other type of budget reform. Because we are, number one, we have twice a budget of cities like Boston, Detroit, and like so many others of similar sizes. But our general fund is only modestly more. And of course, as you all know, most of our funds go to stuff like pensions and stuff, and taxes and stuff like that, to maintain things. I think there are things we could do to improve it. So yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Next, we'll call Kayla Buckaloo, Corey Cotter, Kimberly Rufu, Isaac McLennan, Terry Parker, and Pavel Reiner. And whatever order you come down is fine.
Hello, counselors, and thank you for being here. My name is Caleb, and my pronouns are they or he. I do communications work for the Portland Water Bureau, and I'm a CPPW union member. I am here in my personal capacity as a resident of District 1. Counselors, I urge you to reject the core realignment cuts. People who know nothing about what staff actually do are making uninformed and ill-conceived decisions. Staff are not even being informed, much less engaged. While these proposals are a concern for all areas of the city, I urge you to pay particular attention to the implications they have for the utility bureaus, water and environmental services. Water and sewer ratepayer funds are supposed to be restricted and spent only on services and programs related to water and sewer services. Yet the core realignment proposals siphon money out of ratepayer funds to go into a black box at the increasingly bloated Office of Public Works. As a comms professional, I have seen firsthand the impacts of moving resources out of utility bureaus to the service area. One of my coworkers had her position moved to the service area while the funding for it still came entirely from water. Water ratepayers paid for her to spend increasing amounts of time on work not remotely related to water services. She ultimately left the city because that was not what she signed up for. This pattern is doomed to repeat if you do nothing to stop it. Positions and the money to pay for them are being moved out of utility bureaus with no guarantees or care to ensuring ratepayer funds are used according to city charter restrictions. Many employees doing highly specific work to serving water customers have been told they will be moved. These realignments will divert these positions away from working on water-related services while water ratepayers continue to pick up the tab. If you look closely at the decision packages for utility core realignment, you will see that they do not reduce costs for Portland ratepayers. These changes will only result in degraded and lessened services for utility customers. I know you all care about affordability and the cost burdens on your constituents. Please remember the lessons the city should have learned from the Anderson lawsuit. Don't repeat the mistakes of past city commissioners and reject the core realignment proposals. Thank you. districts and work in District 4 Portland Building for the Transportation Bureau, and my work touches all 4 districts. I'm testifying today as a community member. I'm here today because the proposed cuts through quarterly alignment undermine the city's ability to provide accurate data services that our field staff need to efficiently repair our infrastructure. The accurate mapping, counting, and ultimately repairing of our city's streets, curbs, and sidewalks depends on the specialized data professionals that are proposed to be cut. I'm a data analyst working with PBOT's asset management programs. My work tracks activity being done by our crews, ensures that we are meeting service level agreements, and monitors the cost of that work. The data structure and software is complex and cannot be done by generalists. The time it will take for new staff to get up to speed is time our infrastructure can't afford to waste. If things are as dire as you say, why are city administrator and deputy city administrator offices growing next fiscal year? Adding layers of management while cutting folks who do the work is bad management. The city cannot serve Portlanders without adequate staff. There are solutions. Now is the time to pull together reserves and balances to retain staff. Do not sit on savings while you bleed workers. Thank you for your time.
Just before this starts, I just have asthma and talking really fast makes it hard for me to breathe, so I might have to stop and take a puff of my inhaler. Good morning, counselors. My name is Kimberly Aruffu. I'm a CPPW member where I advocate for my fellow union workers on the bargaining team. I use they, them pronouns, and am open about being disabled. I serve the city through my work at Portland Parks and Rec. I'm here in my personal capacity today as someone who engages with parks, businesses, and community in D1. Shout out to Jubilee Hall for having some of my favorite chai in the city. A bit more about me. I'm the East Developed Parks Coordinator, otherwise known as Budget Cut Package 26,961, Reduced Staff Support of Community Groups. My portfolio spans the east side of the Willamette River and districts 1 through 3. I started in 2022, tasked with developing a new position created through the 2020 Parks Levy. I'm one of 2 geographically designated positions, East and West, and I'm the only FTE on my team to be facing a layoff. I've managed a portfolio of 20 community partners like the Friends of Portland Memory Garden, Leach Garden Friends, and Powell Butte Elementary School, just to name a few. Council President Dunphy, some of your team actually attended a volunteer planting event back in March at Lynchwood Park. That was a collaborative project with the school that I coordinated. I also coordinate a land care focused volunteer program with 10 monthly volunteer events on the east side. 5 of those are in D1, including at recently opened Mill and Park Lane parks. I read a quote yesterday by a city press officer in the Oregonian saying, "We never want Portlanders to feel like they're navigating the city alone." My role has been a dedicated East Side Bureau liaison, serving as a key point of contact for partners, community groups, volunteers, and schools to help them navigate the confusing world of local government so they can find meaningful volunteer and partnership opportunities to support our beloved public parks. This increases volunteerism and ensures more equitable access to city services, something East Portland, especially D1, has historically lacked. Cutting this position only exacerbates those inequities. Thanks for your time, and I urge you to invest in your community by investing in the workers who serve them.
Good morning. My name is Terry Parker. Since 1954, I have called my house in what is now District 3 home. I came here today because my connection with the Gateway Shopping Center. As a kid, I purchased Matchbox cars at Darlene's Toyland. My first real job in the summer of 1967 between my junior and senior years at Madison High School was at a small bakery located in the original shopping center. Today, I shop at Winco, the Office Depot, and did so at Fred Meyer's until the store closed due to area crime and extensive shoplifting. What I'm asking you not to make budget cuts where it would reduce response times for emergency responders, specifically for police and fire. The consequences of reducing these response times would be more businesses closing their doors and or moving to the suburbs, coupled with more empty storefronts. This would also mean less tax revenue for the city. The other item I wanted to bring up related to the budget is the unspoken reality that PBOT's system transportation plan is financially unsustainable. It has been designed as a subsidy-inspired policy-making tool that attempts to dictate travel mode choice through subsidies rather than a means to provide for adequate and equitable infrastructure Funding. Alternate mode users do not pay their fair share. Instead of increasing housing costs with transportation utility fees that have no reference on how many people live in a Pacific dwelling, or again adding to the cost of driving, thereby increasing transportation costs and inflating prices of goods and services, including products at the grocery store, the time is overdue to apply a road maintenance service charge to transit fares and for bicyclists to pay for bicycle infrastructure, both of which are unlikely to increase retail prices elsewhere. In closing, I also suggest that you oppose the BAT lanes on 82nd Avenue, which, if implemented, will increase traffic congestion and diversion of up to 6,000 cars a day, thereby adding to fuel consumption, emissions, and inflation, while also negatively impacting many of the small and minority businesses on 82nd, where 90% of their customers arrive by car. Thank you.
Good morning, Council President, City Administrator Lee, and Councilor Smith. My name is Isaac McLennan. I'm the president of the Portland Firefighter Association. We represent the firefighters here in the city of Portland, as well as the Community Health Assess and Treat and Portland Street Response EMTs. I'm here to speak about two critical impacts in the proposed budget: the reduction of 3 rescue units in District 1 and the elimination of Engine 22 in St. John's, which serves District 2. Under this proposal, the 3 rescues would only operate during peak hours and be shut down from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. At the same time, Engine 22 would be taken out of service entirely. Let me be clear about what this means. When someone calls 911 in the middle of the night for cardiac arrest, a serious crash, or a fire, they may not have nearby units available. It means longer response times and fewer firefighters arriving when seconds matter most. In St. John's, removing Engine 22 takes away a critical first response company in a geographically isolated area. That will also increase delays and leave the community more vulnerable. These are not abstract budget decisions. They are real fire trucks, real crews, and real emergencies. We already know that our system is under strain. Emergency response times have increased and resources are stretched thin. Cutting frontline units will only make this worse. Fire leadership has warned that cuts like these would have, quote, devastating impacts to frontline services, end quote, and create dangerous reductions in coverage. When you combine the overnight loss of the 3 rescues in Lentz, Montevilla, and out in Rockwood, which when you combine those 3 services and the permanent loss of Engine 22, you create real gaps in service. When someone calls 911, they expect help to arrive quickly. This proposal puts them at risk. I urge you to reject these cuts and restore the 3 rescues to 24-hour service and keep Engine 22 in St. John's in service. Public safety should not depend on what time of day or where you live. Thank you.
Good morning, councilors. Thank you for having me. My name is Pavel Reiner, and I work for the chat program within Portland Fire and Rescue. I've worked for the chat program for the past 3.5 years. 3.5 years ago, someone had asked me what was chat and what we did. Today, I'm being asked when will chat become available 24/7. A single chat unit consists of 2 responders, and then take a call from fire engine, 4 responders, truck, 4 responders, squad, 4 responders, thus keeping them in service for high acuity calls, quicker response time, fires. That's thousands of dollars saved each day. Taxpayers' money. Over a year period, that's millions of dollars. Single chat unit can go to a medical call addressing medical issues. On the same call, we can help a patient set up with primary care physician and also insurance. That takes the work of 3 separate agencies, 3 different time schedules, 3 different group of people, 3 different payment methods. That's thousands of dollars saved in taxpayers' money per call, a single chat unit. Police requested us, fire requested us, AMR requested us, PSR requested us. Folks that have been interacted with us requested us. For what we're asking for a fraction of cost, we give back millions of dollars in taxpayers' money back to the city each year. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Dylan Gould, and I work with Portland Chat. Chat was born out of a necessity to handle a unique aspect of emergency responses. When COVID hit on top of the opiate crisis, Portland, like many other major cities, found itself overwhelmed with call volumes and responders overworked. Chat has been and still is a major player in remedying these issues. To this day, Chat has saved the healthcare system over $11 million and has helped the emergency response teams in our city by diverting up to 45% of its calls. What makes Chat different from conventional EMS responders is that it attempts to not just treat the symptom of the crisis, but also look at long-term solutions. While Chat does do ALS interventions and perform immediate life-saving measures, it also attempts to make sure that the patients have the resources to treat and recover from the medical and social issues that brought on the emergency in the first place. Addiction is a multi-pronged issue, and it's with many variables, and it needs to be treated as such. It is unique in that many of the ways to treat it are to make sure that the patients have the necessities to not just survive, but thrive. Chat does this by helping patients find temporary and long-term housing, to get into recovery programs, and to help get access to treatments of other medical ailments that contribute to the patient's addiction. The reason Chat's been so successful is because of the compassion, dedication, and passion of all its responders and leadership have for their patients and for the city of Portland. I have the privilege of working alongside some of the most caring, hardworking, and passionate individuals that see the value in helping others in need. Journalist Johan Harrow once said that the opposite of addiction is not sobriety. The opposite of addiction is connection. And I can think of no better way to describe the essence of Chat. Chat treats its patients not just medically, but by giving them hope through connection through rehab, connection through medical treatment, and most importantly, connection through letting them know that they're not alone. This is what Chat represents. This is what Chat can continue to be. And as long as there are people out there in the city that need connection, Chat will continue to provide that. I just ask that you consider that in the budget.
Good morning. My name is Zach Wanamaker, and I have been a community health medical responder with Portland Fire and Rescue's Community Health Assess and Treat, otherwise known as CHAT program, for 1.5 years. I'm also a Local 43 member, and the statements today are my own and not those of my employer. I'd like to begin by thanking the council members and City Administrator Lee for their continued hard work and dedication during this pivotal moment for Portland. Emergency medical services began in the late 1960s, and it wasn't until almost 60 years later that Portland City Council approved CHAT in 2021. This historic decision gave Portlanders options beyond an ambulance ride to the emergency department for the very first time. CHAT provides emergency life-saving treatment and directs Portlanders to the most appropriate level of care. While we have very many capable responders in the city of doing this, we provide a few unique things that they can't. Firstly, we provide medication for opiate use disorder immediately after an overdose event, and that significantly reduces the risk of death. We also work with Portlanders to overcome barriers to their overall health, including health insurance, transportation, access to primary care, medication, food, housing, and many other resources. And our aftercare team provides repeat engagement to ensure each client is supported and will have future success. CHAT is saving lives and money, reducing 911 calls, and ensuring that our much needed and specially trained firefighters are available to respond to critical incidents when seconds matter. The state of Oregon has been watching as Salem launched their Rapid Engagement Assessment and Community Health Team in January of this year, and I have no doubt that there are communities around the country watching as the need for community health teams rises and will use CHAT as a blueprint for their own. I urge you to fund CHAT to ensure the health of Portlanders by retaining positions that are leaders, mentors, visionaries, and change makers. Thank you.
Good morning, Council President Dunphy, City Administrator Lee, and Councilor Smith. My name is Sahan McKelvey. I'm the Director of Advocacy and Engagement at SEI Self-Enhancement, Inc. And I'm here today to encourage restoration of funding for summer works. SEI is located in District 2, but we work with significant numbers of children and families in District 1. We exist to ensure that young people, and especially Black youth and youth from historically underserved communities, are prioritized, protected, and positioned to thrive. We implore you to ensure that this budget centers young people before systems and outcomes before institutions. I want to be clear. SEI receives little to no direct funding from Summer Works. I'm not here out of financial self-interest. I'm here because budget decisions are value statements, and this one affects whether young people are prioritized in practice, not just in principle. This is an investment in our future that we have to be able to take seriously. For many of the youth that we serve, paid summer work is their first real connection to opportunity. This offers more than employment. It delivers structure. It delivers mentorship. It delivers exposure to a system that we want them to be able to take advantage of for a lifetime. The City of Portland has made strong and public commitment to racial equity and prevention-focused investment. Living into that commitment means protecting programs that reduce disconnection before it shows up later. I recognize this is a season of reduced revenue and difficult budget choices, but moments like this require us to ask, are we protecting systems or are we protecting our future? Investing in young people, especially now, is how we honor our equity commitments when they are hardest to uphold. For nearly 15 years, SummerWorks has been a proven part of Portland's youth employment ecosystem. Restoring this funding is not about preserving a program, it's about choosing our future over short-term savings. On behalf of SEI and the youth we stand with every day, I respectfully urge you to restore SummerWorks funding in this year's budget. Thank you.
And now we'll call Lynn Felton and Sabina Loredes.
I'll go first. Do I have to do anything to, you can hear me? Okay. Good morning, and thank you, Council President Dunphy, Councilor Smith, and City Administrator Lee for being here and for showing care about what residents of District 1 value. My name is Sabina Urdes, and I'm speaking as a resident of District 1. I served 2 terms as the Lentz Neighborhood Association Chair. I'm involved in several community groups, and I've lived here since 2015 as a single mom raising a child who also goes to school here. My comments today are less about the budget itself and more about the process behind what's happening here. I want to voice strong support for neighborhood associations. These are geography-based groups doing real on-the-ground work that directly serves your constituents. Council offices, especially those present here, know this well because their staff regularly show up, attend meetings, and support our communities. But civic life needs to hear this clearly too. Your outreach and engagement are stronger when you actively collaborate with neighborhood associations. While I appreciate that this event is being held in District 1, I can't help but notice how many of our neighbors are not here. And they're not here because they didn't know this was happening and because it was scheduled at a time as other important community events like the District 1 East Coalition Leadership Roundtable. It's also at a time when kids aren't in school and caregivers have to be able to afford childcare to be here or their voices are not heard. That lack of coordination is a missed opportunity. I learned about this meeting through social media, but what about those without internet access, without phones, who aren't plugged into those channels? What do they want from this budget? How do you know? How are their voices being heard? I understand I'm expected to comment on the budget, but as at a previous District 1 session like this, we were told these meetings are largely a formality and the decisions have already been made. So if that's the case, then how we engage the public in this process matters even more. That said, District 1 faces unique and disproportionate challenges. Please invest in our children by funding community centers. Please invest in food access. We're a food desert. Please invest in safety by improving our roads, especially for those who don't have access to a car. And finally, please see your relationships with our community not as obstacles, but as opportunities to do better. Thank you.
Good morning, Councilor Dunphy, City Administrator Lee, and Councilor Smith. I must say, 10 minutes ago, I didn't know I'd be doing this, so, and I would say thank you, Sabina. That was very well put regarding neighborhood associations and access. The points that I would like to just quickly bring up. One, my name is Lynn Felton for the record, a member of the Argate Terrace Neighborhood Association, not speaking for them today, and also a member of the Portland Parks Alliance. We did a wonderful job putting together that budget so that programming and much could remain whole, but the iceberg that you didn't see was the deferred capital maintenance. And the reality is that deferred capital maintenance is sitting there and just growing and growing and growing. It's not going to get any smaller. And you can't have access to lovely parks if the play structures are not working, if you have a city that has huge liability possibilities because a child or somebody is going to get hurt. And you're seeing 10 million almost of deferred capital maintenance being used up because a child got hurt when a lamppost fell on them, right? So that liability cannot be ignored. So I would welcome you to explore ways that the deferred capital maintenance can be dealt with. I don't understand if we're doing PSEF for MODA, why we're not doing PSEF for our green spaces and our parks to make them more accessible and third space for everyone. And Councillor Smith, just really quick, tennis courts, D1, Argay Park. There's 4 community members tell me there's about 1.5 inch cracks in them. And I think it is a very valid question. If USTA does take over the tennis center, what does that look like for the Argay Park tennis courts, which are very, very, very well used? And what type of programming will USTA be doing out at those tennis courts? Second thing, Prosper, Portland. So this is not to say that they don't do good work, and this is not to say that they aren't doing what they're meant to do. But the reality is in East Portland, we are a patient who is bleeding out. And what I heard at the City Life Committee meeting was, we'll give you a Band-Aid. We have low-hanging clinic. We're exploring that. Grocery outlet is going, we all know that. Mayor says $100,000 grant. I'm sorry, we have a crumbling economy. None of that is going to reverse that. And it's been crumbling for years. We need bigger ideas, creative ideas out here. And can we please have a curiosity about the tax increment financing districts? Can we please have a curiosity why 88 million was spent in Gateway, yet we have barely budged the poverty? We have possibly lower jobs than we did before that 88 million. Can we have a curiosity of why that economic stimulus did not work in that location before we lift up 3 more tax increment financing districts in East Portland and pretend they are the solution? They are not the solution. The patient is too far sick. That is only one possibility, and we need many more. That's it.
Thank you. So at this time, we have no one else signed up to provide testimony. I just wanted to see if there was anyone else that wanted to provide up to 2 minutes of testimony. Yes, Allison, come on down.
Hi, I'm Allison Stoll, and I'm the director of the District 1 Coalition. We are co-located in Fire Station 12, one of our local fire stations. And I'd like to start out by saying that I see firsthand every day when I go to work, the work that our firefighters do for the community. And I just want to say, yes, I want to say also that I happen to be diabetic, and I had an incident in our fire station, and basically they saved me. I was really on the way out, and the firefighters gave me glucose and got me back, and it was great. And it's kind of embarrassing to have to say that, but sometimes we need help. And so just please remember our firefighters, and the cuts that you're making are, I know that they are difficult, but please remember them. The second thing I would like to say is the 2 people who spoke before me are from the neighborhoods. And in the city of Portland, we have basically, you know, I don't know what other word to use right now, but I'm just going to say we have an army of volunteers who keeps the city working in so many ways and who cares about community. Neighborhood associations are geographic based, and anyone within the geographic area is welcome to be a part of that. They are also all run volunteers. And so volunteers, as we know, because all of us have volunteers in one way or another, sometimes you have a lot of volunteers and sometimes you don't have many, but they're mighty and strong. And so I would encourage you to keep the partnership that you have with the neighborhoods and also the coalition offices, because without the coalitions, the neighborhoods couldn't do the work that they do because we provide a lot of the services. We provide training, we provide insurance, we provide a lot of things. A neighborhood can't have a movie in the park if they don't have liability insurance, which comes through the 4 coalition offices. So thank you. And I just want to say thank you to our council because you have done so many things for us. And Administrator Lee, it's been nice meeting you. You have a great job. There will be cuts. Everybody knows that. But please look at them that you live in the community and you know, I certainly, when I was in my crisis, was really glad I had firefighters close. So that said, thank you for being here this morning. And I do think we do need to work together and get more people out, but it is really hard on a bright, sunny Portland Saturday to get people there. I have grandkids playing soccer right now, so it is what it is, but thank you.
Anyone else that would like to provide 2 minutes of testimony, come on down and state your name for the record, please.
Good morning, councilors, City Administrator Lee. Thank you for responding to me. My name is Sharon Fuchs. I live in District 3. One thing I'd like you to consider is that there are partners out in the neighborhoods who want to help you. And here's one example. Rose City Golf Course, historic landmark, needs new roofing. I found a roofing manufacturer who was willing to donate the roofing material to do it. When I approached the interim director of golf and the golf advisory committee, I was rebuffed. So I also had an understanding that someone was willing to donate money to refurbish that historic golf clubhouse and was rebuffed. So maybe if there was some place that for community partners to help you do these projects, they are out there. There are businesses who are willing to do this for free. And I'm sure with the roofing, they probably could have found many roofers who would have helped with the work, that type of thing. So that's just an idea. That's all I wanted to tell you. Thank you.
Hey, and would anyone else like to provide up to 2 minutes of testimony? Oh, sure. Come on down, and if you could state your name for the record.
You know, D1 folks are not shy, so.
I'm going to go for the microphone that I thought was working. Maybe it's not.
It's all good.
Okay, great. Hello, everyone. Administrator Lee, Councilors Smith and Dunphy. My name is Heather Redman. I use she, her pronouns, and I live in District 1. I was also not planning on saying anything today, but you all really inspired me. I've worked in direct service, nonprofits, county government, and I now work for state government, but these are my own my own thoughts. And so I just wanted to first say thank you for choosing to be in public service. It is a very hard job. Most people do not have the gumption to carry the burden of the tough choices that you have to make. And so I just wanted to express gratitude first before I continue to talk about all the things that frustrate me. As a public servant to a public servant. So one of the things that I try to do in my job in public service is to remember that systems were created without humanity in mind. And so we are constantly working to better systems that were never designed to honor people and their lived experience and the struggles that they have, and that is very impossible. But we try. We keep showing up and we try. And so I just want to really encourage the council to remember that it's people that we're here to serve, and people are going to be the ones experiencing the impacts of having these budget cuts, but it's not going to be equitable. And one of the things that I try to remember when I'm thinking about solutions to problems in our community is that many of our issues come from unmet need. And so I just really want to shout out and remind folks that I know that crime is something that people talk about a lot as being fixed, and people commit crimes because their needs aren't met. And I really feel like if we keep our budget towards making sure people are housed and fed and have opportunity to thrive, we are going to see a reduction in the things that are causing us frustration and harm and pain. And so please think about that when you apply your budget. I respect that law enforcement has a role in our society. However, they do not prevent crime, they respond to crime. So thank you for listening. I hope I did okay. This is my first time doing this. And thank you again for your service.
Okay, anyone else? Yep, come on down. And if you could say your name for the record.
Good morning. My name is Sherry Wilmshin and I live in District 1 and know our counselors. Happy to see you again. This has been weighing on me as I listened to the testimony this morning. Many times we are bringing things forward that are funding from the city and funding from the county. And I know, Loretta, you know this very clearly. I find it very frustrating that work systems and employment opportunities is here at this hearing to get their money continued, whereas I went to the county budget and the same issues were there and some of the same organizations. The city and the county must work together and include Gresham and all of the entities that are county too, but I'm really focused on Portland. And as our counselors know, when the mayor went forward with the shelters, overnight shelters only with nothing to go with them, I'm opposed to that totally. I sit really close to the Centennial shelter that was started without anyone's knowledge, and we had huge discussions in the neighborhood. It finally opened, but it opened with no services, and now it's closed already. We need to put the services with the shelters if we're going to do it at all. I don't like to see people on the streets. I am faith-oriented, and out of my church, we provide food all the time. And some of the people that were staying at the Centennial shelter actually came and slept on our property because they were kicked out of the other one way too early. So it needs to be more thoughtful and the community involved. No one likes to have people on the street. And the talking about the chat program, was it through the fire? I get so confused because there's so many different entities trying to help. And we just need to get, and I'm a county employee for 30 years, so I know that too. We need to get together. This agency is doing this, the agency is doing that, this agency is doing this. Let's work together. Let's get all the folks together and let's together solve this, not duplicate, but solve it. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else inspired to share up to 2 minutes of comment with your counselors? Okay, so at this moment, counselors, if you wanted to share any closing remarks or reflections.
Well, folks, I just want to say this is it's so great to have all of you out here, but obviously you all speak for a lot of our neighbors, right? We are going to be spending the next few weeks really deep in the weeds of this. And so this should not be the last opportunity for you to get a word in. Please tell your neighbors that we are actively asking for help on this. We want to know about this. If you are in the neighborhood associations, reach out to your neighborhood association chair and let them know some of the budget priorities so that they can convey it back to us. Come to testify at City Hall. Write me an email. Do what you need to do to let us know where the priorities are. I really appreciate the way everybody came in here today, recognizing that we have a problem, and no one is denying that we don't have a problem, that we are going to be making cuts and their cuts are going to be painful. I really appreciate your patience, but also get angry if you have to. Stand up for our community, fight for what we need to have, and let all of the counselors know. Even to the folks who are not D1 who came to visit, thank you. And to the folks who are D1, go visit the other districts too and let them know the same thing. So thank you all for being here today. I'm going to be hanging out for a while if anyone who didn't get to testify wants to come to talk privately, but thank you guys, seriously.
Thank you, Council President. I am deeply troubled by this budget. And as I listen to all of you talk about programs from chat, summer works, P3s, PSR, I'm trying to reconcile where we would actually get the money from and the revenue. And as you know, we don't get the first shot at the budget. The mayor does. And it is so difficult when you have a very lean budget to begin with. And I just want you to know that the realignment, I'm still trying to wrap my arms around the realignment. I don't understand it. And the fact that we're losing a homeless shelter in East Portland, I did talk to the mayor about it this last year, and I said, I would rather not have a homeless shelter if we're not going to give them services, because allowing folks to come in at 8 o'clock and they have to leave at 6, not giving them any food, I think that is more trauma put on people who are traumatized every single day to think about how they're going to get back out to the shelter that they're living in and where they're going to go between the hours of 6 and 8 p.m. That's a problem. So I think, we need to figure out ways in which not to further traumatize the folks who are the most vulnerable. And I'm looking for those ideas, and I appreciate you all coming. Then you talked about our gay and the tennis, and we talked about this the other day. I don't know if Lynn is still here, but that's important to me. It is really egregious that we only have one tennis court in District 1. I knew that. I asked the question because I wanted someone to note how very little resources we have for parks and recs for those kind of activities, and that if we were going to have the U.S. Tennis Association to support our tennis needs in the city of Portland, that we also needed to expand those in places where there are none. And trying to juggle all of these different spaces and places, it's a big deal. One of the things that Caleb, I don't know, is Caleb here? When you talked about the public works and using public works money, I'm the vice chair of the Public Works Committee, the new Public Works Committee. And I'm going to be looking into that with the city administrator, because we cannot, and we did get sued in a big way. I I want to make sure that we are using our resources for the reasons why we took it from ratepayers. And I do want to follow back up with you on that, because that shouldn't be. And just know that our door is open. Could my staff stand up, please? My chief of staff, Elijah Crawford, my field representative, many of you already know her, Melinda Valentine. Where is Scott Rao? He's also the director of field operations. If you can't talk to me, you have additional stuff that you need to talk about, reach out to one of these three folks, because we want to make sure that your voices are heard, and not just that your voices are heard, that we make some of these cut packages in a different way than it's presented to us right now. And I'm committed to doing that. And I thank you, Sabina, for bringing up the idea that we did just find out about this. And we asked the question, how do we get more people in District 1 to our District 1? And we had concerns last time. We were the last people to be seen. This time we were the first folks to be seen, but getting the outreach to people, we have to do a better job at. And just know that we are so trying. We're trying to improve our list. We're trying to improve our communications, and we're going to get better at this. But I heard you loud and clear with that. Thank you so much.
So thank you, counselors and City Administrator Lee, and thanks to all of you for making time to come here and share your thoughts on this Saturday morning. We will be sharing what we hear tonight in the form of a recording, and we'll make that available on the city's webpage. And thank you all for being here. The city's webpage. So thank you all for being here. Appreciate you taking the time. And that concludes our morning.